In Las Vegas, most first-time home buyers need far less upfront money than they think. Between down payment assistance and zero down programs, many get in for little or nothing down. The real cash to plan for is for earnest money and closing costs. And even closing costs can often be covered. The honest answer is you don't need to have 20% to put down. But we do need to find your number, and a free home assessment gives it to you without touching your credit. And for those of you stuck in a lease, it may not be the block that you think it is. Timed right, your last month's rent payment and your first mortgage payment are never made at the same time. Most people think they need $80,000 in the bank. Today we're going to find out what that real number is to get into a new home. Welcome and thanks for joining us here at Touchstone Living's From Rent to Keys podcast. It's all about helping you understand how to become a home owner. Touchstone Living, by the way, is Las Vegas's largest home builder focused exclusively on making home ownership possible. So let's meet our guests. First of all, we have Tommy here. How are you? Thanks for being here. You're sales director at Touchstone Living. You've been doing it for a while. You know all about homes. Happy to have you here. We have Amber Coleman. She's with Guild Mortgage, also very experienced. And I know together you guys have dealt with a lot of situations and got a lot of people into a home, which is great, which is why you're here today. So let's start. So what does a home buyer actually need cash for? Amber, that's probably for you.
So, okay, there's the common thing where people think that they need 20% down.
Right.
I think that comes from bigger cities where the cost of living is so high because hardly anybody puts 20% down. So when you're looking at down payment, typically you need your minimum down, which is going to be 3 to 3.5%, unless we do a down payment assistance, which we'll talk about that later, right? Yeah. And then you'll need closing costs, which usually totals like 2 to 3%, depending on the time of month you're closing. HOA, there's a lot of different factors on that. And then you sometimes need reserves to go with it. But
always a good idea.
Sometimes you need reserves because sometimes the automated systems will require it. So that's the bulk amount of money that you'll need. There are ways to get around that though too, like down payment assistance.
Okay. Now tell me, when somebody comes to look at a home, do they also say, hey, this 20% down, it's going to be really tough for me? Do you get that from customers?
All the time. Everyone walks in and they have the preconceived notion that you do need 20% down. Fortunately, you don't.
Right.
But they hear it from their parents, they hear it from their family, they read it online. You need 20%, you need 20%, you need 20%. And then what happens is people try to save the 20%, takes a couple of years, and they're priced out of the market.
Right. Tommy, Touchstone Living has something pretty unique among home builders. It's called everything included pricing. Can you explain what that is and why that's such a benefit for a first-time home buyer?
Yeah, and you know what? That's the best place to start. It is a huge benefit for the first-time home buyer. You typically don't see it anywhere else in the whole country. So we don't have any option fees and we don't have any hidden fees. Everything's included: your washer, dryer, range, microwave, refrigerator, flooring, blinds, even your Ring doorbell, all hooked up, and your internet. What you see with these other builders is they'll start tacking on these hidden fees, and then you're paying 30% more for a home. The reason we don't do that is, first and foremost, we pay all your closing costs. So anything over that price, we're gonna pay, right? Secondly, if you're a first-time home buyer and you come in and you go, okay, well, that's great. I just spent all this money on a home and now I got to spend $20,000 for all my appliances, flooring, blinds, everything else included. Oh, well, that's a real bummer. The third benefit is there's no negotiating with us. So if you look at other builders and someone buys a home today for $300,000 and their neighbor bought their home for $280,000, well, I'm sorry that you bought it for $300,000 and you're not as good as a negotiator as the other guy, because now you're upside down 20 grand. That's going to take a lot of time to build up that equity. For us, because there's no negotiating, and what can you negotiate over? We have floating cabinets, all included. You don't see anywhere else. Tell me where you want to negotiate. We have the best home in the best neighborhood at the best price.
All right. That's one thing that happens when you go look at new homes. You'll look at other builders, they're showing you the new home, but everything is an add-on.
For us, it's nope, flat fee. It's like CarMax. You can't negotiate. The price is set. It's a very fair price. Okay, let's go. Let's do it.
And you're right. If someone had to go out and purchase their own appliances, that's easily 10, 15 grand. Mm-hmm. But here at Touchstone, that's included.
Yeah, and unfortunately too, if they do have to go buy their own appliances, you're typically buying bottom of the line as a first-time home buyer because that's all you can afford. For us, we put in upgraded appliances. We put in a lot of upgraded stuff. The countertops are probably the best way to show it, because you see granite everywhere else. So when you're coming in and everything has a warranty on it and everything's upgraded, okay, well, what do you want to talk about?
Fantastic. Another issue that can also be kind of a hurdle for some folks, if you live in Las Vegas and you live in an apartment, you're in a lease. It doesn't have to be the block that a lot of people think it is. I mean, Amber, you probably deal with people that come to you, want to buy a home, but they're in a lease. There are ways to kind of help people through that process, right?
Absolutely, yeah. So when you're in a lease, you're going to sign a year lease. So at some point it's over. So like, let's just say a client comes in and says, my lease is over in November. And so if they buy a house today, they can close within 30 to 45 days. So let's say they close in August. Your first payment on that house isn't due until October 1st. So we could either close it in August, first payment's not due till October 1st, lease is open in November, but then you'd have 1 month where you pay dual, right? Or we wait till September to close it. But there are ways to get out of leases too that most people don't realize. Sometimes when you're signing the lease, you're just signing away on it and you're not realizing that there's clauses in there where you can get out on. So it's time to take out the lease. Let's look at it together and see how we can get out of this to be able to make home ownership possible for them.
Wow.
You know what? Can I add something to that? So one of the big things with the lease too is we see a lot of people come in and they're paying more in rent a month than it would to pay a mortgage on your home.
Really?
And they're like, oh, I didn't know that it was this affordable. Well, yeah, we're giving a rate buy down, and you're living in an apartment where, I mean, we've all lived in apartments. It's not the best place and doesn't make you happy like coming home. I mean, you don't have anything in there. Like, we're sitting in a community right now with an 8-acre park that's built before people moved in. No one else does that. That's also an included feature if you think about it. Well, you're going to live in an apartment complex. Hopefully you're by the pool, so then you're not, claustrophobic, I guess would be the right word for it, because you're by everyone else. You're hearing everyone else in the apartment.
Kind of on this point, one of your neighborhood experts, Michelle Lewis, she's here at Independent. She has experience working with a homeowner who wanted to get into a home but had to get out of a lease. Here's Michelle.
So recently I had a home buyer come in and they fell in love with the home, didn't want to lose this opportunity, but their landlord required a 60-day notice for them to break their lease. So what we were able to do is close them at the beginning of the following month to allow them 2 full months before their first payment was due so they can satisfy their current landlord and not have those double payments. It was a win-win for the homeowner.
So obviously it takes some planning, and that's something that Michelle and others, neighborhood experts, can do to get somebody ready to go in, even if they're in a lease. But it's good information to know. What actually lowers the upfront cash that a buyer needs?
That's where we get into down payment assistance.
That's what it is, okay?
Yes, the cool thing about Touchstone is Touchstone pays all closing costs. So
And that's a
every
significant amount. We should probably talk about. That's
yeah.
thousands of dollars,
It's
correct?
a lot. Plus, what they're doing is they're buying the rates down in advance with what's called forward commitments. So the rate's lower, which is cutting down the payment on the house, and then to get into the house, we go with down payment assistance. So down payment assistance, what we're doing is we're doing an FHA loan. FHA loans require a 3.5% down payment. So then we're getting assistance to pay for that 3.5%. Most of the time when you talk about down payment assistance, it sounds like free money. But most of the time, nothing's for free, right? You always have to repay it somehow. So how this grant works is that we repay it in a second mortgage over a 10-year period. So the payment's pretty low on it. You can pay it off whenever you want it, whenever you want to. This allows them to get in without actually no money out of pocket because builder's paying all the closing costs, the grant's picking up the down payment, we're doing an FHA loan for the rest, so no money's coming out of pocket from the buyer.
Wow. Walk me through this example. Say there's someone that wants to buy a house, new home here at Touchstone. They have maybe $5,000 in the bank, right, saved. What does it look like for them if they wanted to move forward in buying a home?
Well, good job saving that $5,000. It's hard to do in this economy sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So the $5,000, we'd probably just leave it in their bank account for reserves because sometimes for certain loan programs we might need reserves, and reserves are like 1 month of your mortgage payment or 2 months of your mortgage payment. Sometimes the lender wants to see that depending on how the credit and the overall file looks. right? So then we would leave that money in the bank. We would be doing a down payment assistance program, the FHA, with the down payment assistance, builder picking up all the closing costs. So coming out of pocket, all they'd have to come in with is earnest money to hold the house, and then at closing, they'd get a refund check back of the earnest money that was put down on the house.
Is it different for everybody, or what? Can we talk about the amount, what earnest money typically is?
Yeah.
Yeah, earnest money is typically $3,000, and we do closings in 30 days. So you put down the $3,000, the house is yours. You're getting loan approved with Amber. You're approved. You close. $3,000 sent right back to you.
Okay. Wow.
Simple.
Yeah, and we try to make it that way. Pick your home, get a loan, and get your money.
Right. And Touchstone is always there throughout the process to answer the questions, to, when appropriate, hold the hands, to know what's coming, all that?
Yeah, so that's a really good question, actually. Most times, sales teams are transaction driven. We really put an emphasis on being relationship driven. We take customer service extremely seriously. And if you can't be there for the customer any time of the day, then I'm sorry, you're not doing a good job of customer service.
Last bit of advice, if somebody's renting right now and they're thinking maybe they want to get into a home, what would you tell them?
It never hurts to come and take a look.
Right.
Because most of the time when you're renting, there's something that's entering your mind to say, hey, maybe I should go look and see if I can own, right? But the biggest thing is if you go 10 years down the road renting, you're going to be dealing with just rising rents. You know, like, so your payment's going to go higher and higher. You go 10 years down the road owning, you now have all that equity in the house for money that you've paid towards principal and just the value of your house going up because we're living in the beautiful city of Las Vegas and the values go higher, right? So then it actually prepares you for retirement or for a future life without even trying. You have to pay for a roof over your head. This allows you to be able to get into a house, build a home that you don't have to worry about somebody kicking you out of, or, you know, like worry about transient whatever's moving next door. It allows you the sanctuary of a home, but then you're also working towards your retirement without even trying.
Right, it's an investment, right?
It's an investment.
Yeah, and there's actually something else to touch on there is being in Las Vegas, and we have the lowest priced homes in Las Vegas. With there being such a big housing shortage that are keeping prices high, this is probably the last time that there's going to be first-time home buyers in Las Vegas. Happened to Los Angeles, happened to Chicago, and you start going out to the suburbs, and our closest would be Pahrump. So if you don't buy probably now or next year or maybe 2 years down the road, you're going to be living in Pahrump, which is a beautiful place to live, but it is 45 minutes out of the city.
Right. Good things to think about. Appreciate your insight today. Good advice, as always, and we'll be talking to you soon. If today's episode has you wondering, like maybe I want to find out what my number is and what it's going to take to get into a home, go ahead and go to touchstoneliving.com/rent-versus-own. There you can connect with a free home assessment, no obligation, and again, it's free. So take advantage of it, and we'll see you next time.